Welcome to Hot Topics in International Trade, brought to you by Bromiller Law Group and Bromiller Consulting Group. Hi, this is Bob Brewer with Bromiller Law Group and Bromiller Consulting Group. Welcome to the podcast. With me once again, Victoria Holmes with Dispatch. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Well, you just got back from Germany, I understand.
Germany and Belgium. That's right.
Wow. And that wasn't just a vacation, that was work.
No, that was not. Everyone was like, how was your vacation? I was like, it's not a vacation. I was actually working every single day. We had something to do and I was exhausted by the end of it. But it was a very insightful work trip. It wasn't for the Dispatch. It was for a fellowship that I'm doing. Something called RIAS, R-I-A-S Commission, Berlin Commission. And I did some Duolingo German to try to, at least know how to order. And I was able to order and, do a little bit of the, going back and forth with the cashiers and stuff. But it was fun. And
Wait, tell me a little bit about the fellowship. I think a lot of people are interested. How do you actually get into that?
So this was something that I used to intern at KDFW Fox 4, which is a news station here in Dallas, Texas.
Okay.
And I saw that one of their reporters went to Germany for 2 weeks as part of a fellowship. And I was like, oh, I'm interested in that because last year I was in Prague for a similar fellowship. But I was like, I want to go back to Europe, on a fellowship and, learn more about what's going on in Europe. And the person who went on that trip sent me some I got some information about how to apply for this fellowship. And it's a really intense process. You have to apply, you have to write an essay. And I think only one round of interviews for this one. Yeah, one round of interviews, but it's a 5-person panel. Wow. So 5 people are asking you questions about...
Grilling you about your experience.
Exactly, yeah. Well, because it's like the whole purpose of the fellowship is to strengthen transatlantic relations between Germany and the United States. So you have to be a German citizen or you have to be a United States citizen. And twice a year a group of U.S. journalists go to Germany, and twice a year a group of German journalists come to the United States.
We're certainly not strengthening that by pulling our troops out of there right now.
Well, that's what we were talking about. Yeah.
Imagine that came up,
That came up, yeah. And so, and in the interview process, they're asking you questions about, like, what are the top 3 issues you see in Germany? For me, because I work for a center-right news organization, they were like, how can you remain unbiased if you openly discuss as a journalist that you work as part of a center-right news organization?
Yeah.
I'm used to that question, so we're pretty, straightforward. Well, it was a pretty straightforward interview.
Well, I have notes that when you and I, in passing, because you said you started talking about the darker side of the trip.
Yes,
and I've been to Germany too, so I know what you're talking about, but go ahead.
Yeah, so part of this trip, we went to a bunch of newsrooms, but we also did some historical, went to some historical hotspots. Uh-huh. The first place that we went to was the place where they bombed Israeli participants in the 1970s Olympics. Yeah, they call it the Munich Massacre. And how that was just a security bundle. I mean, it was really, really awful. Like, one thing that I remembered was like how they said that the people who were holding the Israeli players hostage were seeing on TV themselves because the TV station was basically broadcasting everything that the police officers were doing, and the police officers were trying to pass as other sports, Olympic players or whatever, but they had guns because they were going to try to, storm wherever the hostage situation was. But this was all being played out on TV, and the people who were holding the Israelis hostage could see what was going on TV. And so that was like one of the big blunders. And it was really, really sad. So that was the first place that we went to. And it just got darker from there because the next day we went to Erfurt and we went to the place where they built the ovens for concentration camps. And then after that, we met with a former Stasi prisoner who took us to his former prison, his former prison cell. And he explained how it was a very interesting story because he was betrayed by his own brother, which is kind of an interesting metaphor for Germany's division within itself, East and West Berlin, Germany. And then after that, we went to the Wannsee Conference, which is a place where they planned how to carry out the final solution. So a lot of dark places.
Yeah. How depressing.
It was it was kind of dark. Yeah. So
that's their history.
That is their history. In the past 100 years alone, that's their history.
I know. Well, and NATO was part of your trip too, wasn't it?
Yeah. So part of the trip, besides going to those places, besides going to newsrooms, is we went to the German embassy in Berlin. Mm-hmm. and then we went to NATO, and then we went to the European Commission.
Okay.
And
So tell me about with NATO. You're just kind of just standing outside, be able to take a pictures of what?
No. So NATO, I was not an accredited journalist, but we were still considered, part of a coalition, not coalition. That's because that coalition has a very specific meaning when you go to NATO, so I'm not going to use that word. Okay. But we were very much considered as journalists. We talked with 2 press officers who were there, and they were talking about their commitment to Ukraine. They were actually sort of in agreement with J.D. Vance, Vice President J.D. Vance, about how the United States have been, funding their defense capabilities for all these years. They're like, he's right.
That was one of the main points of contention, obviously, starting out, that they want to be at 5% of GDP on military spending, and that's given them until I think 2030. But right now, there are countries stepping up. Germany's one of them, Canada's one of them. I mean, and that was a big point of contention prior to this NATO visit. But Trump is a little bit more calm, cool, and collected, although he did come down on Spain. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, you shouldn't be doing that. Part of the EU. And we're trying to get this coalition in gear right now to end this Ukraine-Russian war. I mean, now's the time to put the screws to them. Yeah. Right now is a very opportune time. So they're sinking another, I think, $70 billion for the next year into the coffers, and they're getting a lot of military might that they needed in the past now.
Well, it's interesting because the rest, from some of the conversations I was having, they are seeing Ukraine as like the defense against Russia going into the rest of Europe. That's right. So that's why they're open to spending a lot more money, because they're like, if Ukraine is gone, then it's going to be us next.
Well, it means a lot to us as far as democracy of the world.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah. If somebody like Putin can just invade, I mean, but we need to shut about Greenland. Oh, and then to bring that up and say that you're going to invade a NATO Denmark. Yeah. It's like, well, they shouldn't own it. We should.
I don't know what's going on with that right now. Look, it's like I was totally open to having conversations about us investing in Greenland, but when you say that you're going to take over, and you're
talking about just investing.
Yeah, no, that's something. It's something entirely different, and it's like, okay, well, there goes any goodwill that we would have in trying to have our investments.
Well, that's the school of Putin. We need that for our own security versus Russia and China because of its strategic location. Yeah. Now you need that for the high grade minerals that they have.
But one of the questions I asked the press officer, because I was like, I mean, how much do you see? I mean, this wasn't the press officer. This was actually, I think, one of the someone part of some sort of Ukraine, I don't know, group where they're trying to figure out what's next for Europe. But I was like, how much do you actually see Russia as a threat to the rest of Europe, considering that they're using military equipment from, like, supposedly World War I, World War II, like old military equipment? And the guy was just he didn't really answer the question, but that's very normal, is that they don't answer the questions at the European Commission.
No, because we all know the answer to that.
Oh, but this was NATO. Just kidding. Yeah. But at NATO, he also is kind of just like wanting to reaffirm that we need to send Europe needs to send more support to Ukraine so that the rest of Europe doesn't get attacked by Russia. But then my question was like, is that do you really see that happening? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, okay.
We're all going into drone warfare.
That's true, yeah.
The most sophisticated and mass production of drone warfare right now. And that's how Ukraine has really dominated. This is what they've done with heck. There are other countries now that have employed Ukraine to make their drone programs for them.
Good for them.
Yes, they have stepped up hugely in that department. But that's where China is actually helping on the Russian side too.
Interesting.
Yep. So, they're helping them to try to equate in that respect. The one that's really stood out to me, though, all along has been Turkey. Turkey's been kind of right in the middle of the NATO, that's why with Erdogan, that's why Trump's kind of like, kissing his butt a little bit, because they're in between what can actually happen, I think, with Putin still respects him, Erdogan a lot, and he's actually been able to kind of stay right in the middle of this, because it was, when they bought the missile systems from Russia, we put the sanctions on Turkey. And now Trump's saying at NATO, we're going to lift those sanctions right now.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Because this man has a lot to do with if we could mediate right now. If Putin would he's got to stop, because there's so much going on as far as taking out his oil refineries.
Yeah.
I mean, Ukraine's done a hell of a job just over the past 30 days alone on that.
Yeah.
So the economy's it's starting to really, really tank.
Yeah. I'm also not, according to this NATO summit, I don't know what like the exact terminology would be, but we're approving Ukraine to make Patriot missiles, or I'm not sure if it's approving or we're giving funding. Okay.
Yeah, they're the experts. They become the experts in drone making. So.
Interesting. Yeah.
Well, look what they've done.
Yeah.
How
no,
the
totally.
hell does
yeah.
country that's less than a quarter of the size of this massive invasion stick it out?
Yeah. Well, they're getting a lot of support.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah.
I'm saying they on their own though, they've this ingenious way that they've. I mean, granted, we're in the kind of the trenches with them on the intel.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
I see that. You know, here's what you should hit next. This is what you should hit next.
Yeah.
If you're the coordinates, have you got the, what you need is, we've got about 600 drones we could send. They're probably going to take out 400 of them, but we can get 200 through.
Yeah.
That's what's going on.
Yeah.
And these are not the lower end, but now they're getting even more sophisticated as far as being detected, that kind of thing. So Putin's, I mean, they're bombing Moscow.
It's getting quite.
Well, the people there are like, you told us this was never going to be on our doorstep. Look what's happening. We got lines 6 miles long for gas.
Well, the people that are being sent to war, they're all dying.
He's blocked the country now.
Yeah.
He's locked them in.
Yeah.
What? You're going to have a total revolution on your hands now. You've locked us in so we can't escape. We are not North Korea.
Yeah.
I can't leave because you want to put me on a front line. I just watched a YouTube video. I think a Russian soldier's existence on the front line is maybe a day or two.
Yeah. The death toll is the death toll is crazy, and it's also like the length of time that they're actually like serving as a soldier. They're dead. Yeah.
He's sending you to your death, and then
literally, there is no hope for you.
I saw 1-2 of the North Koreans were saying, "Screw this.
Yeah.
We're giving up. They're trying to get the hell out."
Yeah.
So now it's the question of, do we shoot the commander?
Yeah.
Somebody turns and says, "Look, if he makes us do this, we're all going to die."
Yeah.
So we either kill him,
or we
all go die.
It's interesting, Like it's a very sad situation to be in.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, why hasn't there been some sort of coup? I mean, if there's a coup and it fails, that's guaranteed death. But so is being on the front lines.
That's why he's living in bunkers.
Yeah.
That's exactly why he's living in bunkers. I mean, there are a lot of people that want to assassinate him right now, and he knows it. But the oligarchs have the money, and the oligarchs have the influence.
But now they're starting to. There was like someone that complained about the economy, which is something that you would not.
There are women on YouTube videos stepping up and saying, "This is nuts. This man needs to go."
Yeah.
They don't care. Come and get me.
Yeah.
So there's a bunch of that happening right now. There's total rebellion on the lower end, and that will rise up, as we all know. But as far as I'm concerned, man, that should have happened a long time ago, because there are too many people that have died.
Yeah.
4 years of this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And who knows how it's going to end.
Well, how it's going to end basically is him ending, because he's not going to stop.
You think? Yeah.
He's not going to stop.
Yeah. Interesting.
No, not in his brain. There is no way that he could walk away from this in any way that would reflect somewhat of a defeat.
Yeah. Did you see that
what he wanted,
video where he was like supposedly on the front lines? But then they're like saying that it was him in a studio.
Yeah.
Did you see? Do you know
That's what green screen's for.
Yeah. I was like, how can you even tell?
Nobody's gonna believe that for a second.
I don't know. I was like, at first I didn't even think about it, and then the comments were going off, and I was like, how can? Okay, all right, yeah. I mean, I guess that's what some people are there for, is to, figure out where he is and what's real and not real.
They will figure out where he is at one point in time.
Yeah.
He will be eliminated.
Yes.
That's my prediction, because this has gone way too far and in way too deep now.
Very dark prediction, but that's war. Yeah.
Well, he made this decision.
Yeah.
No one else. And so it's kind of like what I see with us now. We've got to learn from this.
Yeah.
Trump's got to stop with this war,
In Iran.
Well, we could talk about that if you want next, but we're out of time on this one.
Yeah.
But I wanted to touch base with you on your trip a little bit, because I thought it was very interesting with the fellowship and visiting NATO and in Germany, all of that.
It was very, very interesting. I'm grateful for the experience. I am still processing everything that we heard and that we saw, and what's going to happen for Germany's future, because I know they're a little bit scared about their far-right party starting to gain power. And so I was getting some information about that, because I'm very interested in like far-right stuff and nationalism. And that's what I cover at the Dispatch. I try to cover at the Dispatch whenever I get the chance. So, yeah.
It's interesting.
Very interesting.
All right, hon. I will tap you for another one then?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Okay.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.